God, I'm Ricky, ladies and gentlemen. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the 662nd episode of the GeekVerse podcast. I am the Baba Yaga, Travis Snell, and I'm joined by...
I am Frank Taylor Field.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, it is just us tonight because Dylan a couple weeks ago, very surprising, it didn't review or didn't come see some Ana de Armas. Maybe, he's, has a new lady. Maybe that's it. He doesn't want to cross that bridge yet. His old flame, Ana de Armas, new flame, And then Kirkland was supposed to be here, but he ended up having to work overtime, so he is not here. So we'll probably get his thoughts on maybe by the time you guys are hosting Weekly Geek next week. So maybe in the What You've Been Watching section, he's seen it by then, or I don't know. We'll get thoughts maybe another time. Maybe Golden Geeks. Taylor's gonna be with us. Who knows? But yes, we are here to talk about Ballerina. I think it's technically from the world of John Wick, Ballerina, but I'm saying
That's
Ballerina
right.
from the world of John Wick. But that's the last time I'm saying that because I'm saying Ballerina. No more stupid title. Get what they're doing, but it's just Ballerina we're talking about here. If you like this review, or if it's your first time hearing us, or you've listened to us for a bit and be like, oh, I wonder what they thought about the other John Wicks, you can go back and all the John Wicks are there that we reviewed. We did an entire retro leading up to John Wick 4, so we did the 1 to 4 series. If they're not on the main feeds, you can go subscribe to Patreon because our entire backlog's there. Every single episode of GeekVerse we've ever done, whether it's exclusive or on the main feeds there, because also I doubt the John Wick reviews are on the main feed because the way Apple and Spotify work, usually they only keep about 200, so if they're not on there, join Patreon for a lot of other reasons, lots of benefits, and they help us a lot. Like this week when we're doing 3 side quests, a Ballerina review, a Predator review, the Gimmick, Weekly Geek, that's like a week's worth of podcast right there. As we said before, without your support, we weren't doing that back in the old day. We're talking about our 10-year. We need your guys' support to do that thing. So whether that's subscribing here or most importantly, Patreon, we very much appreciate it. Taylor will have some exclusive stuff come up for you soon, or early stuff. What did I drop? I dropped the last episode today of the Superman retrospective. So Superman is almost a month away, so we review every Superman film from Superman, Christopher Reeve, to Superman Returns. We've done Man of Steel before, but that was a very fun retro. So yeah, every episode is up there now. Go check it out. Just along with the Fantastic Four retrospective as well. All 4 episodes are there. That's a good time. We're currently doing 28 Days Later. If you're a Patreon producer, you can get that nice and early. Shout out our Patreon producers: Aaron Braden, April Darkness, Jack Grant, Sam, Superbad Mike, Taylor's not pulling up.
You're doing it.
69, Jeremy, Charlie Randall, and Cocktail Clay. We thank you very much. So yeah, you get the retrospectives, all the early stuff, all the exclusive stuff early, and then tune in because August 9th is our 10-year anniversary show, our GV 10, our GV day, and throughout the month soon, next 2 months, we're gonna be dropping tons of great stuff tying into that. But then that day, you're gonna want to tune in. Gonna be at least a 10-hour stream, announcements, fun shows, fun gimmicks, you name it. So let's get in this, Taylor. In case anyone's new, give just like a quick elevator pitch of your thought of the John Wick franchise. Obviously no spoilers, but just like a quick where you are with the franchise, and then give your non-spoilers thoughts on Ballerina.
Yeah, so I did not start watching John Wick right away when that franchise came out. I got around after Parabellum. I popped in the theaters and I watched. What did I didn't watch Parabellum right away, but I knew it was out. I remember my classmates were all talking about it, and so I thought, okay, I'm going to give this a go. I'm gonna watch the first one. I watched the first one and I was like, holy shit, this was great. Put the second one on and kept it going, and then watched the third one all within like a weekend. And it's like, this is just awesome. And so John Wick 4 came out and I was ready. That was great. Doing the retro was fantastic.
I was ready.
That movie is just the bee's knees. I think that was my number 1 for the year, to be honest. I can't remember if it got dethroned, but it was just great. It was fantastic. It was a banger way to kick off the new year, just getting that movie so early
New
on.
year.
So, wasn't that like a January, February?
Maybe I thought it was March. I thought you meant like new decade. I was like, that was 2023.
No. Yeah.
But yeah, you're right.
No, but getting into this, I had a lot of excitement just because of John Wick, the last one we ended off with, and I went back and I rewatched 4 the last week in anticipation for this, and I was just
Big
thinking,
mistake.
okay,
Watch the most epic action movie of all time.
Well, I thought we're gonna be getting something on par with that, or like how are they gonna top off the last one and whatnot, and I think that this movie does a lot of good things in its own way, in the sense of world building, which is interesting, but it's not necessarily something that I want from this world. When I watch a John Wick movie, I feel like, okay, it's just going to be a film filled to the brim with NPCs and whatnot. But they really dive into different aspects of what's going on, and then things get a little convoluted because you made a few points, which we'll talk about on the spoilers, where uh, I don't think it's any secret he's all over the marketing, but John Wick,
Yeah.
and how that aligns with his timeline in the films and whatnot. So there's a few things, and at the end of the day, like I think I really like Anna de Armas. I think she's fantastic, and especially seeing her. The first time I saw her in this kind of a role was back with James Bond. I was just
No
seeing her
Time to
kind of
Die.
kick ass.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she was awesome in that. So getting to see her really flesh out this fighting character here as Eve, I like it, and yeah, but at the same time, I guess like she, I don't want to say it. This is a spoiler. Um, it's at the end of the day, it's not a perfect movie, and I feel like they could have wrote her and made her a little bit better in a sense. But as far as I'm concerned, Anna de Armas just fucking brings it, and she's fantastic. She's really really awesome. So
So nothing wrong with her, just
no,
writing
no,
critiques.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
That's it. You done?
That's it. That's it.
Yeah. So my mini history here is I remember when the first one was coming out, and there was that meme of like, yeah, it looked like a straight to DVD and everything like that. But I liked Keanu, so I saw it. But I agreed with everybody. It's like, oh, this was probably just going to be another very meh type of action movie. And that was in the time where Keanu was doing some of those straight to DVD sort of era stuff. So it's like, okay, probably not for the best there. But I watched because like, seems simple enough. I liked the hook. It always is like we talk about it many times with movies. Like half the battle of getting people interested in is the hook, and the hook of, oh, you kill the dog, revenge, easy. And I'm a dog guy, so I could definitely understand. And then when we watch the movie, there's even more meaning to that dog. So watched that and really enjoyed that, and which was funny. Um, a long time ago I can't remember when it was, what year it was, but me, Dylan, Kyle, and Amber were gonna go see it and review it for the podcast, John Wick 2. But this isn't funny enough, Taylor. We saw it at our theater called the Cineplex here in Kelowna, and it's like a nicer theater where lots of small seats, but the seats recline and they're very comfy and stuff. Even though my seat had seen some better days because some of the leather was coming off, wasn't good, but didn't get a new seat like Taylor. But we went to go see it, but this was like the early days of this theater just starting, so we got there and it was completely sold out. And that's something where it's like, in that though, especially back then, it was a bigger movie, it's easy to sell that theater out because many small, like it's a smaller theater as far as seating wise. So I remember that happened, and then we went back to Dylan's place and recorded Gauntlet stuff. So, and then I was like, oh, I'll get around to seeing this at some point, and never did. And then by the time the third one was already out, and never did. And then luckily for four, I don't know how, we just kind of all agreed like, oh, let's do this as a retro. Finally watched them, and my history, I have a weird history with the franchise because I love the first one, and then two I did not love as much, but I think I liked it enough, and then three I remember having a lot of issues with. So my trajectory was like starting high and going down, down, down. But then John Wick 4, I don't care. It might be recency bias. It's been a couple of years now. I still feel that is the greatest action movie of all time. Now, if they do some certain things in John Wick 5, I will probably actually take down the score and take that away because I think there's consequences that they did in that movie that if you do another one, it kind of ruins it. But that movie, just from a filmmaking perspective, it is an action epic. You don't get many of those. You get like sci-fi epics and, swords and sandals epic. This is an action epic. And so for this, I was excited, but mostly just because like I like Ana de Armas, and that's about it. Like I'm like, okay, more in this world. The ballerinas, I liked the concept in the John Wick movies, but I wasn't like, I can't wait to see that. Like the one I can't wait to see, I can't remember her name, but they're doing that Kane spinoff with him and the daughter of
Right.
Japan continent. And that was a character, the daughter. Crap, I just watched the movie a couple days ago, forgot, but that's one where it's like, oh, I really want that spinoff. So I was like, okay, I get this. Take some function of the John Wick world, spin it off. But I was never like, oh, I can't wait for this. And that's pretty much my review of this movie, where I think this is like a fine enough movie. Don't think it's bad. Don't think it's great. It's just kind of I'm very lukewarm on it, but not in a way like I'm offended. I think that's a good thing of like, oh man, I want this to be great. Like, I think from trailers and whatnot I saw, it's just like, I never saw a moment where I was like, oh, I can't wait for this. And even like I said with John Wick 4, and Dylan was like me, I think Dylan also gave it a perfect score, close to. Me and him were very down on John Wick going into chapter 4, and it blew me away. So it's not like my big franchise or anything. I really enjoy 4 though. 4 is amazing. I think the number one issue is Taylor's right, is some of the writing, right, saying right and right together just, it hurts my brain. But he is correct in some of the writing is a bit lacking, because here's the thing that's hard on Ana de Armas is, you mentioned that in No Time to Die, and she is in that movie for, I don't know, less than 10 minutes, even closer to 5. Like, she's a very small, she's all over the marketing, but she's a very small character. But that character pops and is so charismatic and so fun. It's a breath of fresh air, to the point that people don't want James Bond spin-offs. People want a spin-off of her. When that movie came out, like, oh, let's see that. The problem I think here has nothing to do with her, is I think they kind of just made her like a female John Wick. And the problem is, she's not Keanu Reeves. She's not Nicolas Cage. She's not Christopher Walken. She's not like even like a Catherine Hahn. Or I'm trying to think of like another female that just has like such a big, you know, I don't know why my mind went to Lucille Ball, but I guess so. Like, I think there's things that no matter what, you can put Keanu Reeves in a room and hand him a script, and the way he just says stuff just sounds fun. Like when he goes, yeah, like it's just great. Where Ana de Armas is, as far as acting, she is light years better than Keanu Reeves is like an actor, but she doesn't have like that aura. Like, and you can't, that's something like Keanu, Nick Cage, that's not an aura. They do some acting, of course. Don't get me wrong. They can have some great performances, but they just have a natural something about them. So that's why with John Wick, he can kind of be stoic and just walk and make some faces, because it's like, oh, you're just having Keanu just fill up with that type of stoic charisma, where Ana de Armas doesn't have that. And that's the thing where they don't give her a fun character. I think there's some writings like all problems all around, but just the character alone, it's just like another it's just female John Wick. Something bad happened to her, she's stoic, she's going through like similar issues that he is, as far as deciding what she wants to do or not do, and who to kill and not to kill. She's like a friendly, it's like not like a, like John Wick will kill people, but he'll have a line, right? Even in this movie we see like he tries to figure things out first. She's the same way. Her very first job, minor spoilers, like doesn't kill like one of the main targets. So it's like, okay. So that was my issue, where it just felt too samey, where at least with that Kane spinoff coming up, that character is very different than John Wick, right? Mm-hmm. So, and even the girl that was the Japanese, the Continental's daughter, very different, very more emotion filled, and has a different journey, I guess, even though her journey is going to be you killed my dad. So we got a couple of those going on. So I think that was the problem with her being the lead, was nothing to do with her. It's just, they should have wrote the character to me differently. And then the other thing I was kind of hoping for was maybe to go back to basics a little more. And that's funny, because me and Taylor talked a little bit in the car, where Taylor was more on the John Wick 4 train and wanted some more like that, where I was wanting some more like John Wick 1, because they do, feel like the timeline they set up with our character, I don't think she can't not be good at these things and kill a bunch of people and be very talented. I just think they made her John Wick 4 god tier, as far as how she can fight, and she can take out a room of 50 people, where like I was saying with Taylor in the car, John Wick started as like, oh, it's a house invasion with like 6 dudes, and it was like, okay, it's 6, it's 8, and then the finale is 12, that's big. And then we got John Wick 4, it's like he's taking on a planet pretty much, right? Where in this, it's, we kind of get that journey right away, where the first act, yeah, it's small, but then it's, she's taking on dozens and dozens of people, and in the time frame they set her up with, it just felt kind of easy. So, and I will say, I hated that the Entity was in this as well. No, I'm joking, but
yeah, I was like, what?
It's not as bad as the Entity, but I did not enjoy the main bad guys. I think, again, there's some things with John Wick 2 and 3 that I get they were building the world, but there's just some things about the choices I didn't love, whether they felt too over the top, or they kind of just, it felt cheesy in a sense that it was a easy get out of jail free card, just big, well, this is how we can support a bunch of enemies coming at you. This did that too, where the reveal of what she's up against is something completely made up. It's a prequel thing where it's like, you've never heard of this, but this is the worst thing around. It's like, okay, so not even John Wick's bumped up against these people once. Like, I would have rather that them take some other thing from the John Wick world and flesh that out, but they make a completely new, no pun intended, entity for her to go up against. I will say, if you just like the John Wick series for just, I want great action stuff and just to see like gun fu. You want to see big explosions. You want to see, and Ana de Armas is still, she's not bad in it. She's just, like I said, just I feel like she's a very charismatic woman, and they take that from her. Where Keanu Reeves has a different type of charisma. You don't take it from him, but she's still good. She does like the fight scenes well. She not bad acting or anything. There's lots of connections to the world. Same thing. If you like a lot of lore or a lot of Easter eggs or cameos, you get a bunch of that in this film from characters they've shown you in marketing and characters you haven't seen in marketing. So it feels very connected, at least that way. So yeah, it's a thing of like, would I want more? I'm like in a sure. I had a good enough time, but at the same time, if you said, "Hey, Travis, you could never watch this movie ever again," I wouldn't be like sad about it, And Detail asked, "Would you say it's mid?" I would say like above mid, because mid to me feels like that sounds like a disservice, because some of the action set pieces in here are really good, but as me and Taylor are talking about, even then, this movie's 2 hours and 6 minutes. There's a couple scenes, but there's one in particular that I don't want to spoil. I think it's in a little marketing, but in case it's not, that just felt like it went on forever, and it felt to the point where it's like it started really cool, but it's going on for so long it didn't work. And I wonder if they looked at like the stair scene. Remember with Keanu Reeves and John Wick in Chapter 4? I don't know why I had to say Keanu Reeves, but in John Wick Chapter 4, when he fights these guys in stairs, he gets all the way top, gets knocked down, he does it over again. I think with that, there's just a better pacing, and there's just something about like, oh my god. And they do something similar to me in the third act, where it's like, oh, the stakes keep getting risen, but it just felt long, and it felt like I'm kind of over it. Like the surprise factor is gone, where the stairs did something different. So yeah, like I'd say above mid, better and worse than John Wick Chapter 3 or Parabellum. That's tough. I'm gonna say the
Worse.
same. Yeah, for Taylor, it's worse. I'm gonna say about the same. I am gonna. Funny enough, I did what Taylor did. I watched 4. I do think I'm actually gonna go back and watch them all, because I'm like in a John Wick mood now and everything. So I need to watch 2 and 3 again. But I remember not being the biggest fan of 3, so I don't have. I've only seen it once as well. I would just say same. Which a lot of people are like, Taylor, they loved 3, but I think I had a lot of like world building stuff that just it got a bit more cheesy. Where I think 4 has cheesy elements, but it was built a lot better, like just kind of base. So yeah, like I said, but if you want action stuff, like absolutely. If you're like, I don't care about the world building, I don't care about character art, which sounds bad, but like some people don't, right? If they just like, hey, I like seeing the big action set pieces, you won't be disappointed here. You got a lot of that here. So Taylor, would you recommend this to people?
Um, I would like if you for me personally, am I gonna rewatch this? No. If I'm in a John Wick mood, I'm gonna watch John Wick. Would I recommend this to other people? I feel like I would, just to at least watch it, just so you can kind of see other stuff going on in this universe. I think that's important. But and again, Anna de Armas, I would definitely advocate for her too, because she's great in the movie. So.
Well, there you go. So if you don't want to be spoiled, we are going to take our first ad break, and then the spoiler wall is off. Like I said, join Patreon if you don't want to get hit with this ad break. We'd appreciate it. And everything else about us is down below for everything you need to know. But yes, we're going to get into spoilers for Ballerina just after this break, and we'll be right back. And we are back. So, Mr. Field, where do you want to start with the Ballerina?
Oh, I want to talk about
Too late, my turn. No.
Yeah, too late. The pacing of it, I feel like this movie had some issues with that. I feel like, okay, from the start, we get a very interesting and engaging intro, and I thought, okay, this just it's weird, because when you're dealing with John Wick, you're dealing with a franchise that's just been focused on John Wick himself and other characters and mob bosses, clans, whatever. But you don't get to see really like the world. And I feel like, okay, we get to see like inside a police station. These cops are useless, like all these things that just take into account. But from that point of time, we get what feels like 20 minutes of her as a kid in this introduction, and then we skip ahead 12 or 15 years later, something like that, and then we get another time jump of 2 months. All these things just, I don't feel like they necessarily. I feel like the only thing that really fit was the first scene. I feel like they could have skipped ahead. We didn't need to see her first mission. They could have skipped ahead to where she's just doing the training, because they started bringing things in that didn't matter. Her friend that just vanished, like, oh, she didn't have what it takes. And then, as you said, a certain maybe not family member, whatever. Just like all these different things that are brought in, and they're loose ends. And I guess their point is to serve as a development for her, but she's not growing from this. Like when she sees her sister, nothing's changing from that. She just has a moment, save your breath, and she dies, and that's it. Like, okay, then we carry forth. So I feel like the pacing of things and them trying to add a little bit more backstory and depth to her with these scenes doesn't really work. And again, I attribute that to the writing because she's trying her best. Anna de Armas is really trying her best with these moments, but y- you can only do so much. So that writing isn't there, and the scenes aren't setting you up for success. It's gonna it's gonna be tough.
Yeah, I agree with some of that. I was gonna say, like, I don't. Do you feel John Wick has much of a arc in the whole series? I think he has a little bit in
No,
like
no.
four,
For
but
John Wick, I'd say it's really just.
just
I mean, you're
revenge,
there
right?
just for the revenge and just the.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't need anything. Number one has like the most. Well, yeah, the most story. Two is world building, but number one is him just okay. This is a story. His wife died, gave him a dog, and I'm gonna go get revenge and kill this guy because he killed my dog and stole my car.
Yeah, and I think four is a little bit about that because that's about like death and life, and if you want to get out of the game and stuff, because he's trying to get out of there, right? So, yeah, no, like they throw a lot at you because that's where I feel like to my comparison, I feel like they're almost trying to do a whole John Wick chapter four as far as like we learn a lot about the character just so we can get to these bigger set pieces, but yeah, like I think the opening scene is fine. You know, it sets up her motivations. It's tough because again, the whole wife passed away from cancer, leaves a dog. That dog gets killed. You can't do that hook again. You can't make it a cat. And not that it's anything bad. Like okay, she sees her dad executed in front of her. Well, I guess no, he gets shot. And he dies. He still dies in front of her. You know, it's a slower death. He gets to say
Which
goodbye at least. You know.
like he's a trained killer, but it really bothered me how he's going down the hallway shining his flashlight off on his fucking gun, and then he gets hit. They know where he is and they shoot him.
He might have been concussed. You know, some CTE is kicking
Yeah.
in. He couldn't remember his training, but yeah. So for me, it was a weird situation when they had the scene where she's in the police station. And yeah, they give this origin. Yeah, her dad was killed by this group we'll talk about later. She's there holding this ballerina thing. You get lots of lore as far as about the mother and the sister, which again we'll come back to. I found it odd. Like I get they tried to make it like I guess it's almost like the Batman thing, right? Where Winston walks up, right? And this is like one of our first things we get. He finds her in the police station, and they have this whole conversation about like, oh, my dad, he put himself in danger because he didn't want me to have the same life as him. And they kind of have some back and forth, and Winston's like, oh, I want you to meet somebody. It's like, what a move to be like this little girl who's like, yeah, my dad sacrificed himself because he didn't want me to be a killer. And Winston's first idea is like, you know what? I'm going to introduce you to a bunch of killers, and that'll happen for you. Which, because even then, later on, Eve says like, well, I chose this. It's like, yeah, you did, but like because someone kind of pushed you that direction. Like, what happened if you just got like adopted by someone? Maybe you would go for revenge. I don't know. That's just a little nitpick. Nothing really against the film. You get it. So the ballerina stuff, and then you get some time jumps, and I was all down for that. I liked the training of it. I liked the mini, games they were doing. As for, not games, I guess that sounds a little too small for what they're doing. But they're working on protection of people, so they're going through different rooms. And people are popping through corners and roofs, which makes sense because it's like think about that top-down shot we get of John Wick in chapter 4. Like it feels like that, but you're seeing like the behind the scenes version. You're seeing her wrestle guys, and they do like okay, fight like a girl, which that's something I don't mind. I just felt like they didn't do that enough in the overall movie because the point is she's kind of doing some wrestling or judo with a guy, and he's a bigger guy, taller muscle, and she just can't overpower him. And then her trainer says like, well, use what you have, don't just try to match what he has. And she gives this whole speech and says like, fight like a girl. So she kind of be a bit more quicker. Of course, it means like she kicks him in the nuts, and then when the match is over, she kicks him in the nuts again. Very uncalled for. But like I was kind of hoping for more of that, and other than like a lot of like head scissors with her legs, I didn't feel like it was like, oh, she has a one other thing, I guess she loves using grenades, which I thought that was a fun gimmick.
Oh
But
yeah.
other than that,
Too much.
it didn't feel like I was watching a very different fighter than John Wick. Which again, I get it because they do come from the same type of area. But when they had that whole speech about like, oh, fight like a girl, I thought, okay, you're gonna see her do a couple more things. I even like the trainers like cheat, take a cheap shot. Like it's like, oh yeah, that's good. Like you should. It's life or death. It doesn't matter if you're cheating there. Again, that guy was knocked out. She didn't kick him in the nuts again. The guy she's sparring with. But I think for me, what the issue was that. So I think it was all working well. I think you brought up a great point with the friend. That was a a weird subplot that like either don't put it.
Oh, Ricky down.
It's empty. We're good. Just get the last drop there in case. Either don't put that in the movie or dive more deep in it because yeah, she has a bedmate right beside her that. And I like the montage as well of her spitting on her feet and they're just bleeding, everything like that, right? I think the montage, I really have no notes. I think it was all good. But she has this friend, I can't remember her name, but the thing is she's just good at the dancing, I guess. Like that's literally what it is. Like she's just really, they say like, oh, you're the best ballerina here, but not in the sense that they want. And I don't know what they were trying to do. Maybe they're trying to show that the ballerina group wasn't as bad because one day Ana de Armas goes to bed and the person beside her, it's all packed up. The sheets are gone. So I thought maybe they were trying to insinuate they might have killed her. So I'm not sure if that's what the ending was for because they show Ana de Armas watching her dance. So maybe they're trying to show like, oh, they didn't actually go through with it. But yeah, it was, and then it was just dropped. That character was gone, never mentioned again until the very end. And it was a weird subplot there. But then for me, it's like, okay, you jump, which I don't know if the ages match up, but you have the girl, they jump 12 years later, and then she goes on her first mission, which we can probably cycle back to in a second, which I like the shots. I thought we were going to get your guy there, the guy you like doing the accent for. I can't remember, Scott Adkins when they went to the club.
Oh, really?
Well, because the thing is, we just watched 4. The music sounds similar, and in that club, everyone's dancing a lot while there's killing and stuff going on, and they never react to it, right? So I thought that was going to be another Easter egg that we were going to see him for a moment. We didn't get that, but anyways, we go on this first mission, and it's like a bit more messy, right? It's her first time, whatever. She gets the job done, saves this target. And then we cut to her in a bathroom. She's in like a John Wick, literal little black suit. They pan around this bathroom, broken. It's like the Mission Impossible Fallout fight. Like she just did that, right? It's a mess in there. And then they show 2 months later. And for me, it was jarring because I thought they were getting her to a much powerful level than I felt like 12 months ago. She was still good, but still was like learning and struggling with some things. But then 2 months later, she is like tippy top, even though you kind of felt that she wasn't tippy top. So how do you feel about the montage and how do you feel about the time frame of her training and whatnot?
I mean, the time frame of her training, I feel like it was expedited, and I feel like because you say yeah, she takes out a whole town, and she takes out like a lot of people, but I feel like she gets. They emphasize a lot more time with her facing and squaring off against like one person in some fight scenes, like that in the Ice Club. And the threat assessment, I guess, that threat guy, he shows up. He's got like 3 of his goons, and it takes her a while to take out the goons. And then she like fights the one guy. And he is like crazy. He's Scott Adkins level here right now with his fighting style. So that's all fine and dandy. But when she wins, and based on her training, like she's 2 months out on the field, I don't feel like she's got what it takes like to hold off. I feel like, okay, well, she's gonna get killed. Yeah, so I mean,
But she doesn't. She makes it out.
she makes it out. She makes it out, and I feel like, okay, it's just she's extremely lucky. Because there's so many situations where she's scaling on the roof and she's trying to sneak into her target's room, her bedroom, the bedroom of the hotel, and there's snipers pointed at her and all that and other things too. Like she's so lucky that when she threw that box of grenades down the stairs at the ammo store that she didn't, she almost just blew herself up and killed herself. So I feel like there's a big luck factor in here.
There is one part of the grenade fight I did not like is when she had that grenade on the guy's head and she like wrapped a towel or something around him and she like headlocked him and then it exploded. But they made it the sense that because she headlocked him in between a table and the guy that she was safe. I don't think that's how the grenade.
Well, it was a
would
steel
work.
table, right? Or it was iron or whatever. It was metal. Which
Still, there's like
it would brace.
it would brace, but she like nothing really happened. It didn't even move. It just like the body exploded. But that's where me and Taylor differed on the luck factor because I'm in the same way that I think John Wick gets beat up a lot. He has a lot of luck per se. I just saw about even John Wick 4 that at one point he's dead to rights and the Japanese Continental daughter saves him, and I like that. Don't get me wrong. I don't think that a guy that's doing all these crazy things should always just win because it gets a little unbelievable in a world that's already unbelievable at times. So I was fine with the luck factor, especially because like the sniper, like you mentioned, like, yeah, I guess she was dead to rights, but anybody would have been dead to rights, right? They were letting the person get in there. They wanted them to speak to Norman Reedus, but you're right, and that's where for me it's like that's fine with John Wick. For me, it was more her taking out like 25 people, 50 people. When they showed that first scene of the 2 month later jump and she was in the suit and she went down like 3 or 4 floors and there's just like not dozens in each room, but I'd say altogether multiple dozens of just dead body, dead body. There's like a car flipped over. It just felt too big and too grandiose for a character where John Wick, even then when he's doing that, this is at the end of his run, right? Like after in John Wick 1, he's been retired. So to me, it's like I can believe this because he has been doing this for multiple decades, right? Or even though she's been training, at this point, she's only been doing this for 2 months, like out on the field doing this work. So that's the thing for me where it's just like with John Wick, you could get away with it in the first movie instantly because you're like, oh, well, he's retired and he was the Baba Yaga. Like he was the very best. Now, I'll say this now because I don't want to forget. I don't think I will, but just in case, I'll spit out now. They do later on in the movie have two instances where we didn't talk about this in the prequel sense. They have she meets John Wick. It's tied in with John Wick 3 when he gets like the tattoo like burned off his back or whatever. Like he's kind of excommunicated from the Ballerina family for his tickets gone or whatever. And very like video game cutscene of just like John Wick's going through it. I feel like in John Wick Chapter 3, this just happened. She's like, hey, can I ask you a question? Like, it felt very like, all right, I get it. Ana de Armas is the main character. But don't get me wrong. I like that conversation of, I want to get to where you're going. And, John Wick's going to say, well, you don't really have to. And she's like, how did you know? And he's like, well, like I didn't. I can't remember. I'm paraphrasing because I just saw this movie, but like I didn't know this is what I want, but just the route I found myself. And then he talks about like the doors open and she says something else and he's like the door is still. I'm like just kind of insinuating like you can still leave this life before you get started. And I did like when she go, oh well, why didn't you leave? And he's like, I'm still trying to figure that out. It's like good, like we didn't need it ties in what happened with the other John Wick movies and we didn't need John Wick to have this big moment and scene there, but that felt true to the character of he's given this information or this advice but he didn't follow it. He made these same mistakes, but later on, like we'll come back to the canon part of it, but he's sent to kill her and they have this fight. What I did really appreciate is she never won any instance, and 3 times he had her dead to right. There was one time when they started the fight and she's behind a wall and he popped up with the gun and then he stopped. And then there's another time they start to tussle. He gets her down on the ground. He has a knife against her throat to slit it, and he stops. And then another time where she goes to head scissor him. Looks like she has the upper hand. Then boom, he pulls out a gun. She'd be dead. So I did like that because sometimes movies and shows will do that where they go, well, with this new character, the only way to make him seem important is what if they beat like the hero we know and love. And I didn't want them to kind of like job out John Wick, just be like, Ballerina, she's really badass. But no, John Wick, it still showed that he was a level above her. But yeah, what were your thoughts of the use of Mr. Wick in this movie?
I mean, again, he was used just to help further along her development
And get some extra ticket sales.
and get some extra tickets. Yeah, 'cause,
Yeah.
I mean, it's John Wick.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, there was definitely a little bit of humor involved with him coming back, and I love that scene when the train pulls into town. And just the smoke and everything, and he steps out, and the chancellor and all that. I'm like, oh, the Baba Yaga.
When he got the train, he looked scary. I love that. I love when we get to see John Wick come from other people's angle, and it's not our perspective of us, John Wick. It's other people's seeing. When he got that train, and it was just like he was almost like a shadow. It's like, yeah, he looks scary.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, but other than that, I think it was decent enough. We only had the 2 scenes where there was the start where she's just like, "How do I be like you?" and at the end when he's got to convince her and make a decision if he's going to execute her or save her, and he's just a softie, Again, like you highlighted, there's some similarities between their stories, and obviously he's seeing what she's doing and reciprocating it and running with it. So.
Yeah, that was bold. He sent to go there, and then he's like, well, I'll give you half an hour. And it's just like, I don't know if you got to explain the whole situation, but literally from the Ballerina side, they're saying, hey, we need this girl killed because if it doesn't stop, a whole war is going to ensure. And John Wick's like, well, let's give it 30 minutes to find out. And like you would assume, we've been told this, he grew up with a lot of those people, right? So he's just like actively putting these people's lives at risk. I did like the consequences line when it's like, yeah, if it's at 12 consequences. So that was good. He pops up a couple times with snipers. That was all fine. I still don't know, and this movie didn't answer why he's there. Because in my opinion, in 3 to 4, remember that's when like Winston shoots him on the roof and he's like excommunicado, right? Like John Wick, like if you see me, he's supposed to be killed. So it felt weird to have John Wick in this movie, in this scene, as like a contract. Because what happens is I can't remember what they called the town. We'll get to the villains here in a second, but the villains have a literal town of like a small city almost. They are like another type of. They kept calling them a tribe, which I didn't like. I didn't like.
Oh.
I didn't like calling them a tribe.
Yeah.
Because I feel like other John Wick things are not called a tribe, but they have the understanding with the ballerinas that they break all the rules and stuff, but they still understand like, hey, we won't mess with you, you won't mess with us. So he calls the leader and is like, hey, this girl, ballerina Eve's causing a lot of trouble. I need her taken care of. They go, hey, we didn't sanction that. She's not with us. And he goes, doesn't matter. If she continues, it's gonna be war. So I just don't know why John Wick helped, because I feel like he has a lot of other things going on in his life. So just to take this random trip to go help, and what I thought they were gonna do is, I thought, because they showed the moment where he was branded and he pulled his ticket, I thought they were gonna say, hey, but if you do this, we'll let you back in. And then when he said, no, I'm not gonna kill Eve, then it's like, hey, you're not really back in until the fourth one, right? Because the fourth one he has to go like, kill Scott Adkins and do all the stuff like get his teeth. I thought they were gonna give us some reason. They really didn't. Like, I don't know. Maybe it's just out of respect, but at the same time, it felt like they had a poor relationship in 3 when, like I said, she brand him. I don't know. I do have to watch those movies again, but this movie didn't explain to me why John Wick, who, to my knowledge, between 3 to 4, and I just watched 4, he is pretty much on the run. Lots of people are after him. Why he would come over here, I don't know. I digress. So, but yeah, Keanu was no notes for Keanu. Keanu was exactly when he was on screen. That's what made me go, okay, I do want to rewatch the entire John Wick series, because it's that aura of him playing a badass and just seeing Keanu do some gung fu and just say consequences. Yeah, gun. Like, that's what you're looking for, right? And all those scenes are good. There is a great moment where we'll get to it later, but he snipers someone and then he has to work his way down like I don't know, like a clock tower per se. And maybe it's like 6 to 7 guys or something, but they have this moment where at the bottom of the stairs there's 2 like NPC characters or whatnot, and they're starting to rush the stairs, and one of them goes like, you know, we can't, like, it says something like, we can't do it, or we shouldn't go up as John Wick, and then the other person goes like, it's only one man, and the second she says it's only one man, he pops out that corner, boom boom, just takes him right out. So and I think the movie for the most part had some like relatively similar humor as the John Wick movies, and hit for the most part. I don't think there was bad jokes. I don't think it was as funny as some other stuff, and again, some of the stuff is Keanu's delivery as well is really good. But yeah, so I think he was used, the canon stuff, don't really know what's going on. Don't know why he would go on this adventure. Maybe I'm missing something. That doesn't really take down my score completely, but it just is like an odd thing. It definitely feels like, okay, we've got to get John Wick in here to sell some stuff. But he's great. It's great seeing John Wick. I will happily watch John Wick 1 to 4. I do not need John Wick in Chapter 5. I know that's what they're doing, but I don't need that, or I'll take a prequel. Happy with the story. But anything more, Taylor? I just talked about that scene with the 2 guys and the guy, or the guy at the bottom of it. It's just one guy. It's like, oh, but it's John Wick, and then boom, boom.
Oh, that scene cracked me up. I mean,
That's
I
good.
love the mythos that's surrounding John Wick. When,
Yes.
yeah, they're like, oh my god, it's fucking John Wick. Are we doing this? Yeah, one guy, and like all that stuff. Like every time they say the Baba Yaga, I just get giggles. I just love it so much.
Anything else on John Wick in particular?
Um, no, I don't think so.
Yeah. And then after, well, I guess we can go back to. There's something I want to go back to, but I guess we can talk about these villains, because maybe I'll think about this. Taylor, what did you feel as far as, so they reveal, okay, they want to kill, they want to kill Eve's dad, kidnap her in the first scene. They kill the dad, but don't get her. She escapes, becomes Ballerina. We talked about all that. And then as it slowly revealed, like, okay, it's a very bad tribe. It's a lot of bad people. They have these X's like branded on their wrist. Then it's revealed that they're not really like a criminal organization. They are a cult. They operate, of course, outside the table, but Winston says we'd rather have them pissing outside the tent than inside the tent. But they're pretty much this just elusive thing that can do whatever they want, and all the other places, the table and whatnot, aren't going to interfere because they're too powerful. And then they go as far to reveal that they literally own like an entire town. There is dozens of buildings and houses. It's a small town still, but still a town nonetheless. How did you feel about our antagonists here for this one?
I mean, yeah, it comes full circle when you see, okay, they're responsible for her dad. And again, it's where she was born, where she grew up, and everything like that. It was in the town. The town was hidden. I guess this kind of touches back with John Wick, but it kind of cracks
Right.
me up when they're like, "Oh,
Unknown point. Yeah,
unknown
whatever.
location," but we're
No
just
one
gonna
knows.
give the location to you, the head mother of the Russian uh,
Yeah.
ballerinas,
And
who's
she
gonna
gets the
tell the
John
Baba
Wick.
Yaga.
Yeah. He has
Yeah,
now
which is
two
just
people now. Yeah.
fucking crazy. But
Yeah.
yeah, I think I like the idea of the town, and everyone is basically a trained killer, and I thought that was a lot of fun because as you know, the guy walks in there and the, the guy ends up shooting up the restaurant and trying to kill Anna Darmus. And then it's like, okay, well, this guy obviously looks suspicious, looks like a soldier. And then all of a sudden, okay, no, the cook, the counter lady is also in on it. And then all of a sudden, the mom of that little girl is in on it. And you're like, what the fuck? And it's just going, going, going. Everyone is in on it, and it's crazy. And I thought that was actually a lot of fun. But yeah, I don't know. It was just, it did feel like we were spending a lot of time there. And I don't know how the main villain, he didn't really do anything super crazy for me. Just a lot of like, oh, we've been here for 1,000 years. Like never has a
Thousands
leader
of years.
retreated.
Yeah.
Yeah, like for a very long time since the beginning of man, they've been there.
Yeah, it's like the cavemen and whatever these fucking people were called. I forgot what their name was. I should have looked it up. But yeah, I'm on the other side. I think obviously all the action's still good there. They provide set pieces. Again, this for me was just too big of. And John Wick 3 and 2 did this where they introduced some things to lore where I just go, I don't enjoy this, or this doesn't work per se. And this is one of these things too. Like I don't enjoy that. There's like every time it's like, oh, it's a try, oh, it's more like a cult. Like they really want to hit you over the head, like it's a big time cult. But I felt like other than okay, the entire towns are fighters. We didn't see enough of this town for it to feel culty. It just felt like a big military occupied place. You know, like it didn't feel
Yeah.
like like we didn't get to see their religions. We didn't get to see this other than just, I guess their feeling is you're not trained to be a killer. You're born to be a killer. And if they feel you're a killer, you're going to live in this city, I guess. And Eve's dad wanted to leave, and Norman Reedus, who's in this movie for a cup of coffee, wanted to leave with his daughter. But I just feel like, why would you have a kid there? I feel like you would know. Like, you see all these other kids run around being trained to be killers. Like, needed more story with that. So yeah, this was one for me that was too big. I wish it was just criminal organization that is in a town but doesn't own a town, and she's just trying to kill her dad's killer. I didn't need the whole all the and that's the tough thing with John Wick. They've done so much and they probably felt, oh, just a revenge tale is too little. But to me, if you write an interesting character, which I don't think they really did with Eve, and you got the good action, which I think they have, so 1 for 2 at least, I think people will still enjoy it. So I did not, it's not entity levels where I hate the entity. This was just like, as the idea came up and then as more and more was revealed, I just checked in and out, like more and more out. Again, kind of like what we talked about with the friend. I felt like they just didn't give me enough to really care about this town. And even at the end, I get this good laugh where I get what they're doing. They're doing the John Wick thing, right? Where, you know, fucking the dad killer. I can't remember what was the villain's name. Do you remember?
I don't remember. No.
Oh man, he's in the original Little Woman. He's in tons. He's the dad in Hereditary. Like he's in tons of stuff. This guy. I'll find out here in a second.
There was a scene when she was fighting too, like they were just picking up the plates, trying to find the gun underneath, and they're just taking turns, like smacking the gun on, or the plates.
You didn't like that? The
Dinner
theater
plates.
liked
No,
that.
it was too comedic. Too comedic.
I didn't mind it. Again, I think it went on for too long. I think it was the
Yeah.
joke was kind of hit the nail over the head. Let's see if I can find it. He played. Oh, right. He was just the Chancellor, Gabriel
Chancellor.
Byrne. Yeah, but the Chancellor. Right. They never said his name. He was in it multiple times. But I get what they're doing. They're setting up Ballerina 2, where you have now the ballerinas setting a bounty on her, but then you also have the Chancellor being like, you know, it's not gonna end here. They're gonna come for you. But it's just like, one, you're the Chancellor, so I feel like killing you. I guess there's always another, but the problem is he's doing this big speech, right? So he has Norman Reedus is in this movie. He is staying at one of the Continentals. That's how Winston gets back in. Winston knew Eve as a kid. She's going for information because the ballerina won't say anything about the Chancellor's people, the cult. So he goes, okay, there's a guy that's a part of the cult. We don't mess with them, but we do track them because they're dangerous. He's in Prague. She goes to Prague to get some information. He has a little daughter, so it kind of mirrors what she went through, right? He's trying to escape with his little daughter. That's what happened to her. I liked that. That was fine. He gets killed, quotations, but then he's back later, Norman Reedus, but he gets shot and he's, I guess, saved for the sequel. But all this happens, and so she gets to this town, finds the chancellor, etc. Right, and at the end, they've kidnapped Norman Reedus' daughter, and she's now trying to save this daughter so she doesn't have the same life that she did. And John Wick and Eve have torn through the whole town. Like when they have this face off, because she shoots out the tires of the chancellor's truck, he gets out of the truck. The town is barren. There's not like a single. It's like they've murdered everybody, but he's like, they're all gonna come for you if you do this. They're not ever gonna stop. And it's like, who? Like this town?
They got
like,
more towns. They have more than
I
one.
guess so, but it's like either they're dead or they're all sleeping, which doesn't make sense because they're like, get out there and kill the ballerina, like kill the Baba Yaga, like all this stuff. Like it felt very funny when they had killed everybody, and he's like, do you want to come to this? If you do this, I'll like he's just pretty much like I'll fuck you up. Don't like he's just. It felt like a threat a villain would make in the middle of the movie or when she was tied to the chair, but to make it when there's literally like buildings blown up, there's dead bodies everywhere. It looks like no one on his team is left. He's like, I don't know if I would do this. He's like, what do you have to lose? And I enjoy in movies when she did shoot him like mid conversation because I just feel like, for me, if I was one of these people, that's what I'd be doing. I don't need the whole spiel. So I did like that. She saves the girl, but
Well, we didn't see what happened to the telescope man who was looking at
Nope.
the whole town with the telescopes. He's
he's
still
the
around.
guy. He's the guy that's gonna
yeah.
send all of them. Yeah, so didn't really like any of this, and that sucks that they do a number two. I imagine this would be picked up upon because with those words. So like Taylor said, I guess there's other towns, or maybe people are fucking hiding in the pipes or hiding in the sewers. I don't know. But another thing we got fed was at the beginning of the flashback or when the movie started, Eve's dance with her dad, and so he grew up so fast, something, and then he talks about her sister, and they kind of insinuate the sister's gone or dead. There's this, like, of course, the right hand woman for the Chancellor. It's very Star Wars, like very small universe. Like the one other female character in this movie that we know that's new is, of course, that's Eve's sister who's not dead. And it's crazy because, like, when she let her live at one point in a fight, I knew that was her sister. She didn't even know at that point, but I just knew. And then later on, so they do this moment where, okay, she gets there and Gabrielle gives her the whole speech when she's on a chair, like, your dad was here. He left with you, your sister. And then he goes to his right hand woman. He's like, oh, fate's a funny thing. I got, your sister in the other room. And the sister actually says, like, what? And then after that, Eve gets out. The sister chases her into a higher tower or building, whatnot. They have a mini conversation, which they don't even get on the same page about because the sister's still like, well, at least in this town, we're killers and we don't judge each other for it. And then a grenade goes off. I thought, okay. And even though I actually did not like this character as a sister, don't know if it was writing or the actors, thought I gave no fucks about them. Mm-hmm. The grenade goes off and they're trying to make a big moment where the counselor says, like, kill them both. And one of the guards is like, sir, are you sure? He's like, yeah, kill them both. To signify, oh, this person that's been his right-hand woman the whole movie, he'll just dispatch of her easily. So I thought, oh, classic team up. They're gonna throw the grenade. She's gonna see the light because at this point she's still fully on the sister's fully with the chancellor of like, no, like this is the life. Like you should join us again. Like you're meant to be here. You're meant to be a killer. Grenade goes off. And I'm like, oh, she's gonna have the moment. Then look, the chancellor tried to kill you. He doesn't care about you. Nah, she just dies. She just fucking dies in a very anticlimactic scene. To me, literally, if you just take out that sister storyline, it changes literally nothing about the movie.
Yeah.
Like, Ana de Armas has no, like, even they faced off a couple times in this movie, but not in, like, a big dialogue way.
She
And
kept
even
knocking her out.
yeah, but then they didn't even have, like, a big action set piece, right? Like, they didn't have, like, a 5-minute, like, mano-a-mano fight. It just felt like a guard who, like, oh, by the way, this guard, yeah, that's your sister. And it's like, okay, here comes development. Oh, no, we killed her. That actively took points down for me because it was not needed. When we talk about things you could edit out, you could just take out that whole storyline and just say, yeah, the sister died when she was young, and that's it. But what did you think about this reveal of, Eve was tied to the counselor city, the cult. She was, the dad ran away, and then the sister stayed there because she had already killed someone. So the dad apparently thought it was too late to bring along. She was already twisted, which I think is terrible logic, bring both your kids. But I digress. What do you think about some of this cult lore and the sister reveal and all that stuff?
I like the cult lore. I think it's fine. I thought it was interesting too. How they're raising their kids there and they're training them to be assassins of this cult and all that kind of jazz. I thought it worked. I really did. The stuff with the sister, I totally agree. Though it could have been completely removed from the story. It just You get not even a 3-minute scene of them talking to each
Oh
other
yeah,
and
no, very light.
engaging, and then yeah, like, to be fair, when they announced that that was the sister, I completely fell for it because I had totally forgotten about the brief moment at the very start when the dad is like spinning around Anadarmus's like
You
young
look just like your
version.
sister.
Yeah, that's the only thing that they said in regards to it, and so it completely went over my head. But they did that a few times with these story introductions where, like, even when it's like, oh, you have to, your final test you have to take, and they sit this other former ballerina down, and the ballerina is like, I'm you in 10 years. And it's like, huh? And I guess that's like a foreshadow to her being caught and having the bounty on her head or something like that, I guess. But even then, it
Yeah.
would have been cool to have a little bit more depth to that at the time because it just felt like it's going to come full circle, but it felt like it was it didn't put it in the right moment, you know, when there's a little bit of a
Hmm.
foreshadow that's going to segue into something that's going to go full circle at the end of the movie. Like, you can do it with a little bit more finesse. This didn't have finesse. It was just this woman like angry, and then she had the gun. Anna Darmus didn't shoot her right away and then shot her after. Like, it's just weird.
Yeah, which is it's like a theme they go on a little bit, but not too much because they do that right where okay, it's a former ballerina, she's a test, and it's like who can put their gun together quicker and shoot the other one. It was interesting because when the timer went off, the person that dies starts to build their gun right away, and Ana de Armas is just sitting there for like 10 seconds thinking about it, but she still beats the other girl. It was very, I was very confused by what was going on, but so they did that. They did the thing where Eve's now they didn't tell her about like the killers there, but at the same point, like I get it, I do understand, like that's the person that killed your father you want to know, but they had a pretty good point of like, hey, these people are fucking, it wasn't just like a we want to keep you here reason, it was these people are fucking, you know, lunatics, we don't want to go to war with them. Like the
Mm-hmm.
reason they told them was not to like mess with Eve, it was just, hey, we can't afford the bloodshed here. And then what happens later on is Eve goes against her orders, and even though it's like a shitty thing, I still get why she would call John Wick because, hey, this guy just said if she's not dead by midnight, he's gonna come, you know, and fuck, like he's gonna kill us all. Like we're at war with this cult if we
Yeah.
don't stop her now. So it's like again, I can see the motivations of why the ballerinas would be like, maybe we got to kill Eve. But like you said, with the setup there at the beginning, it makes it feel like the ballerinas are going to be like the villains in the movie, right? Like that's going to be the reveal that slowly but surely, which maybe could have worked better, it's revealed that, oh no, the ballerinas killed Eve's dad. Everything she knew about them is wrong. And that person that she killed in her test, that person was right. She should have read into that earlier. But they do some, you know, things against our main character. But I would not call the ballerinas the bad guys of this movie. Maybe
No.
the next movie, but even then, like I said to you, like why do they even put the hit on her anymore? Like I guess it's just because again the counselor says like there's many of us, so I guess they're just worried that the cult's still going to come after the ballerina, so they got to kill her. But it just kind of felt like the Eve had won, but they're like just still put a hit on her. Like it would just be better just like leave her alone almost. Like I just it felt very much like we got to set up for a sequel here. It
Yeah.
didn't work for me the bounty at the end, you know?
No, it didn't for me either. I don't feel like we needed it. You could have just had it very open ended with her just being in the theater watching the ballerinas and
Mhm.
yeah, I don't know. It's one of those scenes that just felt long and it didn't have to be. But always do appreciate a scene when a bounty rolls in and you're looking and you see in the crowd people checking their phones and stuff
Of
like
course,
that.
there's like multiple guys there. It's like I guess because the ballerina show maybe, but it's just it's like they don't even send you a picture of Eve either. You know, it's just like text. So it's like
Yeah, that's
she's
right.
like really worried she gets out of it. It doesn't matter. They don't know what you look like. But yeah. So I imagine if we get a two, that'll be it, where the two factions are hunting her down. I would like if we get a sequel for it to be after John Wick 4, because even in this, like she went to the Continental and it was still up and running. It's good to see Lance
Yeah.
Henderson again because obviously he passed away, so it's great to see him again. He's a fun little character, but I'd like to kind of see that progress there. But yeah, I'm trying to think of some big action pieces to set out again. It's gonna sound like a negative, so I hate to say it, but I think it's inside the marketing. They have this great set piece with a flamethrower. The problem is it just goes on a bit too long. It starts like,
Yeah.
oh, this is really cool, but you see Ana de Armas like jump through multiple walls. I think you just could have cut some of that and then got to like the fire hose versus the fire extinguisher. And even then they do like stuff like the guy, she has a fight like she has a flamethrower, another guy's a flamethrower. At one point he gets his foot on fire, and I get it. They're trying to make him badass, but he's fully just fighting Eve while his foot's on fire. It's like I get it, but at the same time, like you'd still be in a lot of pain. It doesn't matter if you're a ballerina or John Wick. Like you still want to put that fire out, but he's just like aura framing and fighting, and it's like okay. So again, I agree with you. Like I didn't like the whole city fight because that was just more of like, oh, this is a whole town taking over. I didn't enjoy that.
Yeah.
I liked the club stuff. That very first mission, I liked the setting, the score, and I liked that it was a little dirtier because it was her first time. What other one? And I like the actual John Wick fight. That was good. I'm trying to think what else am I
Yeah.
missing. I feel like I got to be missing something in the middle there too of another fight scene. When we introduced her, not much because they're all dead already. Is there not one? Oh, I guess her and Norman Reedus at the hotel, which I thought that was fine. I didn't think there was anything. I guess there was more like some gross up moments where like a glass wall gets broken. There's like some shards pointing out, and she goes like, there's like a scene where her and the other girl are trying to put their faces in it. But then there was a weird scene where they're fighting, and she just like speared her through a table, and I felt like this didn't feel like how she's been fighting the rest of the movie. I would have been fine if the whole movie she was very scrappy, but many times she's like very finesse. But I'd say the best scenes was probably the last one, even though it went too long. I like the John Wick one, and then I think those are the two highlights for me. And right, the opening club ones. I'd say those were my top three. But what did you feel of the action? Any action scenes you want to shout out?
Yeah, so I mean, you mentioned that the fire hose and the flamethrower, that was pretty cool, and some of the flamethrower stuff with Ana de Armas was pretty awesome. But gosh, to think though about like some of the other action that they had in here. We didn't get to see her going into that penthouse at the beginning of her 12-year jump. That would have been kind of cool. I guess the 2-month jump, but that would have been neat to see how she took out that whole like penthouse above the party kind of crowd. But yeah, it's just the fight scenes, like they don't
That's about it
feel
for you.
like, well, that's about it. The fight scenes don't necessarily feel on that same level as what John Wick does. And after seeing a John Wick 4, that like dragon casing fletchet shotgun scene, like top down, like how do you top something like that? You just throw in some flamethrowers of people doing barrel rolls around the fire and stuff like that.
Yeah, like I said, I thought the action was. I can't say. I think it was like up to snuff as far as like it feels like John Wick and the world, but it also never got too high. I do think the flamethrower thing is a good set piece. I do think that if that was just shorter, maybe it would be more positive on it because it is fun. I think the finale of it's fun where she has the water hose and he
That's
has the
very fun.
flamethrower.
I love that.
Yeah, and I think that's good. And there's great moments where some guys like sneak around the corner and she has the flamethrower, and then with the other arm she's like shooting the gun. So it's like that
Yeah.
was cool. I like she had the flamethrower thing on, and the club just like visually looked cool. Like anytime you can have a colorful club scene, I'm pretty a sucker for that. Yeah, like I said, the John Wick one, I like that from a story perspective. So did feel a little lesser than, but it's it's tough because that's different directors. That's also Keanu who's been doing all that for a long time. And just certain just choreography and set pieces that didn't stand out. Like to me, like in John Wick 4, there's multiple as far as like it's tough because like that town was fine, but you're never gonna live up to like the Japanese Continental, right? Like that set
No,
piece is
no.
massive, or even like the shootout on the Paris, by the Eiffel Tower, or the stairs, or the top down ones. Like that's the problem with John Wick 4. Usually it's like, okay, we have one massive set piece in here. John Wick 4 had like 4 or 5 where it's like, this is fucking great. So yeah, nothing to that scale, but again, that's where for me, as some of you might go, oh, you want it smaller. To me, I meant in the scale as far as it felt like they were bigger, but it didn't feel like it had the same gravitas as the other ones. So that's why I actually wish they just went smaller and kept it smaller and then focused on that and then do one big set piece, which I'd say would be the flamethrower. But again, not bad. I think there's like, great kung fu or gung fu. I think all the you can see Ana de Armas doing a lot of the stunts and everything. So I still think it's all serviceable, good, fun John Wick type of action stuff. Just might not be tippy top or have like a tippy top sequence. Like unfortunately, there's nothing here that I could say for best scene. Where like John Wick 4, we had to argue about that, right? But even then, like
Yeah.
for me, John Wick Chapter 2 and 3, there's some sequences I like in there, but nothing that super stood out. But I think there was like that mirror room in John Wick 3. But yeah, anything else in particular that we haven't talked about? We talked about some of the action, talked about John Wick, talked about the villains, talked about Eve, talked about Norman Reedus. He's alive. I guess he'll be there for a sequel if they
Alive.
need him.
I thought he was dead for sure when he got stabbed in that death scene.
Yeah, and I no reason for them to leave him alive, but they did. So good for Norman Reedus' character who can come back, and I imagine, which is good. He'll like owe Eve, right? Because she saved her life and also his daughter's life. So
Yes.
in the future, it's like, okay, when she needs somebody, it's kind of like when John Wick needed Winston or Lawrence Fishburne or stuff. It's like, okay, built in kind of IOU. You saved my daughter, so I'll come help you out. So and
You got to get
which
the
is
blood pendant thing, right?
yeah, you could get that right. I would think that's true. She saved his daughter's life, and
Mm-hmm.
I like Norman Reedus. He had one action scene. I'd like to see more because Norman Reedus has like a very Keanu Nick Cage thing where he just has like a type of vibe about him, right? Not the greatest actor in the world, but just has a vibe. But yeah, so he's in here for a small amount, but that's all. Like same with the John Wick characters. Winston has a couple scene. His concierge has a couple scenes.
Yeah.
And John Wick has a couple scenes, but I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Anything else you can think of to show talk about?
I can't remember if you showed this already, but in the scene where she was at the other concierge or Continental and she ends up, she's just outright held hostage by the concierge there. It's like,
I didn't kill anyone.
I didn't kill anyone. And the other
Yeah.
girl's like, that's a lie. Da, 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 da. It's like, whoa, like they just execute the two others and just took her word for it. And
I take
I,
it they had to have cameras. That's how for them being so sure. I took it as this Continental has cameras. It's like, yeah, we saw, so that's why. And that's one comedic beat I did like when they execute this to other people, and he looks at Eve. He's like, I think it's time to check out, and that was like a good little beat
yeah,
there. So all it
yeah,
takes is a couple cameras, and if they can't see that she killed anybody, you gotta take her by her word, right?
yeah, yeah, for sure.
Anything else?
That's all I got. That's all I got.
Okay. Well, Taylor, what would you rate this?
Oh, like I already said before, I like the other I like the other John Wick films over this, and if I'm gonna go and get a craving for John Wick, I'm gonna be popping this on. Uh, so or not popping this on, popping John Wick on. So I just feel like the writing could have been done better, and I'm not overly over the moon for them to be doing a follow up to this or a sequel. I think okay, like she's on the run. That's just going to be segueing into what John Wick 3 that we've seen with John Wick kind of being
Like
excommunicado and
this?
on the run. Yeah, like if she's got the bounty now and she's on the run apparently from the end of this movie now, it's like okay, well now we know where this is going. We've seen this before with
Yeah.
John Wick
I think
himself, so
the problem, yeah, and I think the problem with this is it's like the Ethan Hunt thing where they didn't say she was excommunicado in this movie, but it already felt like that, right? Because the ballerina's
oh,
starting
it
to turn
did.
on her, and there's tons of people. At least I think, like, yeah, you have ballerinas and the cult people coming. I guess the only thing you could do with this to make it somewhat different is, and some people might not like it, but is semi like Leon professional. Like that'd be another hook of her with this kid, and she's training this kid to be a killer. We've seen people trained, but we never see John Wick have like an apprentice, right? So to me, that's kind of the spin I would try, and it could go terribly because like kids in action movies and radar could feel cheesy, but I feel like that's how you try to make yourself different. But what will happen? She'll probably just get kidnapped, and Eve will be like, "I gotta get her back." Like what? Oh well,
Yeah.
no, I guess no. She's with. I'm already wrong. I forgot. I forgot Norman Reedus was alive. I talked about it.
Oh
And I already
yeah, yeah.
forgot. Yeah. So she's back with his dad. So she actually
Mhm.
wouldn't be with Eve. So yeah, I just feel like we're just, and I guess that's the thing when John Wick's dead, right? You can't do those. So I think they're just trying. How can we do more John Wick type of stuff? But he's dead, so we got the ballerina.
Mhm. Yeah.
Sorry, did you drop a number? Did I miss that?
No, I didn't.
Okay.
Yeah, what would I give it? I know John Wick 4 was an easy 10 out of 10.
Oh yeah.
But but this one, I wish I could remember what I gave the like 1, 2, and 3. All probably still pretty high. I I am my worst enemy because I went in here with the preconceived notion that this is going to be along the lines of like John Wick 4. We're going to have it on par. They're going to be trying to top it. We're going to
Wow.
get some crazy shit. But like you said, we had a different director and all that jazz. So I'm going to probably go and give this I'll give it a 6 out of 10 because I still had a good time. I still had fun with it, but it's not like over the moon anything to rave home about.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you there. I'm like a point 0.5 higher, so I'm 6.5. But yeah, I liked it enough. I did not feel that while I was there, it's like, man, I really regret my time here. But at the same time, I wasn't like, man, I'm dying to see this again. Like with John Wick Chapter 4, I was John Wick Chapter 1, or just any other like movies this year, right? And that's fine. That can happen. And that's where like I'll check out a sequel just to see if they do this. But I think if a sequel is kind of similar, where that's like if it doesn't improve and it's like another 6.5, I think that's when I go, okay, maybe I'll catch like the next one on VOD or something like that. But yeah, Arne Armas, doing her best here with like a very light script. And like I said, people may go, oh, well, John Wick is always light script. I know again, but you got to do something different, and just making female John Wick didn't really do it for me unless it's John Wick's daughter, and they didn't go that route because he has no kids. Some good action set pieces, but some that went too long. I think the movie in general is too long because I was talking to him in the car and I was like, oh yeah, I guess like an hour and a half, you couldn't cut it, but it did feel longer. And when I looked, it was 2:06. I'm like, yeah, I think there's like a good maybe 15 to 20 you could cut there, but still enjoyable enough. Don't know if I'll ever rewatch this again. So that's why I think like a 6.5, where I enjoyed my time for what it was, but it wasn't anything that memorable. And definitely not going to be on my Golden Geeks anywhere. And that sucks too, because not even like a best scene or best film. It's just kind of came out. It was definitely, because that's the thing with streaming. Not to knock it, because there's tons of great stuff, but I feel like action movies on streaming nowadays are very poor. It feels like they're just made very cheaply, and she's like, oh well, people love action, so put that in there. There's a couple that go past it, but most of the time I feel like those are some of the worst type of streaming movies, where this is nowhere near that level. It's just also not like a great time. It's just an okay time. So yeah,
Yeah.
6.5 I find that's where I'm settling. So yeah, not sure when we'll be back next in the John Wick world. I know they are making the Kane movie. I know they're making that anime prequel of the John Wick's Last Job. They're supposedly doing John Wick 5 with a plot you won't believe, and I don't want that. So we'll see what happens there, and then we'll see what happens after the next couple weekends if Ballerina gets a sequel or not. Because usually they make these things for smaller budget. And again, Taylor, I said I'm in the sense where I liked it enough, I would give it another shot. But if not a big improvement, I'd probably kind of check out then. Or would you be wanting a sequel, or are you already checked out on
I
Ballerina
don't
2?
feel like I need a sequel. I feel like I'm checked out. But that being said, if it's there, I'm gonna watch it, and maybe they'll do that escalation like the other John Wick movies have, where like you said, the first one, it's 10 guys, the next one it's 25, it goes up, up, up. Maybe the next one here, it's gonna be, do they, well, did they go during John Wick 4, post John Wick
I
4?
would hope
Like,
so, because then it's like it's a non-prequel world where it's like, oh, what's going on in the John Wick, like the table, everything, right? So yeah. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we have done it. Let us know in the comments below, in our Discord, Patreon, wherever, YouTube, your thoughts, anything we might have missed, anything that you think that was a critique that didn't make sense, you want more, questioning on it. Well, that's what the Discord's for. Love talking. And I'll be excited to see what other people think about this one. But yes, whenever you hear from us next, it'll not be boring.